tell you what, Dan, I think a lot of the businesses that we've spoken about could take a page out of the lessons from this 7-year-old girl.
100%. I mean, I think that's the issue. A lot of business owners just don't know when is enough enough.
Episode 198 of the Dan Bradbury Podcast.
Oh, we're getting there.
Getting close on 200, my friend. Yep, getting real close.
Two away?
You are good at math, my friend. I tell you what, that's almost Topher Morrison math right there.
Right.
All right.
Except it was accurate. Let's get to it.
Well played, my friend. Listen, let's get into this. We got a lot to talk about today, and we have a short time to get there. So let's talk about news of the week.
Yeah, news of the week is about John Lewis. So John Lewis selling a 6-fold increase in hot water bottles after the recent cold snap. And I think the relevance...
I'm still traumatized from that cold snap, by the way. Being a Tampa guy out here in the UK, I'm still traumatized.
For those that don't know, obviously Tampa's in Florida, and so I've often over the years messaged Topher at Christmas time, and then Christmas Day Topher's been going, "Yep, it's cold here. It's 80 degrees."
Yeah. Or as for you Brits, it's 12 degrees. Yeah. No, even more than that. It's 17 degrees on Christmas Day. I'm in my flip flops and my hoodie.
Right. So then bring you over to Oxford, and especially with the recent cold snap. But, this week's podcast is all about sales. So this isn't about John Lewis, and it isn't about hot water bottles. But it is interesting to see that, a combination of the cold snap with the cost of living crisis, then 600% increase in water bottle sales. Yeah. So the question is, what does this mean to small business owners?
Yeah. Well, I think there's two lessons. Number one is, do you exploit the opportunities and raise your rates, which is price gouging? I would say no. Some capitalists might say, yeah, if you can make more profit, why not? But I think the other point is that in your business, you have to make certain capital investments. And just like you don't want to buy a hot water bottle when it's freezing, you don't want to buy an umbrella when it's raining. What's the thing in your business that goes up when you need it?
Right. I mean, look, you can look at this a variety of different ways. You can talk about buying in bulk, simply just buying in bulk, which, by the way, is bad for cash in the short term, but you get a discount, which means you've got higher margin and profit over the long term by using like a Costco or something like that.
Is there a formula? Do you have a formula where when is it smart to buy in bulk versus when is it smart to buy one-off? Like, is there a certain amount of cash flow that you need to have to where you go, there's no impact or anything like that?
I don't have an off-the-cusp formula, but I think, I think ultimately you need to have excess cash. The definition being you've got reserves that are significantly beyond the kind of operating cash flow needs plus a contingency fund of 6 to 12 months of operating expenses. Beyond that, then you might look to utilize it. I think that people act like cash is trash right now because of inflation, but that's idiotic thinking. Cash is still king and always will be king because it allows you to strike for opportunities. Even
when cash no longer exists, cash will always be king.
Yeah, all right. Metaphorically, the ability to buy funds, it just doesn't rhyme quite as well. So I think it's about so thinking about how do you buy things at a discount or understanding it as it relates to sales. So that's on the buying side. On the selling side, here's a stupid example, which don't judge me too much for this, but let's do...
I will. Trust me, I will.
Let's do our usual, I'm the capitalist, you're the socialist thing. So I'm going to say a long time ago, back in the day when I went through a bit of a supercar fetish, Topher.
Which I still love to this day, how you are so judgmental on people who buy supercars, neglecting the fact that you used to literally buy them.
Yeah. Multiple. Yeah. Anyway, so a thing that I learned was one of the cars I had was a convertible. It was a Ferrari 430 Spider, right? So a convertible Ferrari, and the sales price of those convertible type cars is higher. I forget what percentage, but a reasonable chunk, 5%, etc., higher in the summer months than it is in the winter months.
Interesting.
Right, so the advice is, hey, if you're selling, sell it at the start of the summer. Because people want to buy and they're more like, oh yeah, let's just buy it so I can enjoy the summer months, which is about 3 days in the UK.
And by the way, it cracks me up to see how many convertibles there are in London. And like all it takes is just a break in the weather just a little break in the weather, and all these convertibles pull over to the side of the road, put their tops down, crank the heat, and then drive it anyway. Weird.
I paid for this thing. I'm going to enjoy it. And buy in the winter. Because people go, I've had the summer now, I'm going to sell it. The price is a little bit cheaper. So thinking through when is the right time for you to buy things, but also when is the right thing for you to sell things.
And here's my question. So I wouldn't think of somebody selling a Ferrari, convertible Ferrari in the summer as price gouging. But I do consider raising the price of an umbrella or raising the price of a water bottle during a freeze point or rain point. I consider that to be price gouging.
I'm going to disagree with you.
Yeah.
I suppose I don't know how do you define the balance, right?
That's it, right? Where is that line?
Let's take a more extreme example. More extreme, right? Let's be more controversial. Why not? Let's talk about PPE during COVID.
I'm really glad you threw out the COVID there because I just thought you literally said PP. I'm like, right. What the hell?
Right. So it shall remain nameless. We have a client who was unable to trade because of the nature of their business in the pandemic.
Okay.
And because they have a lot of expertise in dealing with logistics internationally, they transitioned to buying and selling PPE.
I know who you're talking about. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So to be clear, this person was an agent. They weren't making the PPE. They were literally connected.
They brokered it. They just bought low and sold high. Yeah.
Correct.
They were trading.
And what I know is this person has a very profitable, like their core business, which we're not naming, it was a very profitable 8-figure company anyway.
Yep.
And all I know is that he did more sales in a month than he'd done in the previous, I don't want to say 12, but it was something like that. It was a ridiculous, unbelievable example.
Here's what I would say, though. I don't think he was price gouging. He was simply filling a need in the market because people needed PPE. They had to have it.
All right.
And he didn't price gouge, right? He didn't.
No, so let's differentiate. So tell me what the difference is between when is he going, oh, it's supply and demand, so I'm putting up the price because the demand was outrageously high and he had a product that was very scarce.
But did he charge 5 times the regular price of a mask?
Yeah.
Oh.
Right, but is that wrong? Like, so let's take a different example. If I'm selling my house and there gets to be a bidding war between two potential buyers, right? Am I wrong? As long as I'm representing the truth, I'm not misrepresenting the house. If two people are desperate and the price doubles, trebles, quadruples.
Here's my line. Then I think my line would be: is it a necessity purchase or is it a nicety purchase? Nobody has to buy your house. People had to buy PPE.
Okay, good. All right, so I'm gonna.
When it's raining, you have to
take
buy
advantage
an umbrella.
of this controversial topic by putting you on the spot of the moralistic decision making. So if he has the box of masks and there's two different care homes that both want the box of masks, are you saying? I know he said his name. Then I'm really kind of didn't. Are you saying that you should have go? No, actually, no. This is the price. Whoever pays first, that is it.
Yeah, I really hate you right now because then I go. Now, do I move the line toward? Is it just individuals or corporations? I don't know. It's a great question, though, right? Like
correct. And to be honest, not to let you off the hook. Am I feeling okay?
Are you okay? Yeah. When have you ever let me off the hook?
I don't think that there is a clean right or wrong answer.
To be clear, he usually puts me on the hook and then throws me out into the sea.
Yeah, and it impales you a few more times. And I think that's where we've gone with a different angle of this week's podcast about sales. It's like, it's sales, but it's not sales at any cost. Because you can do tactics, nefarious tactics that get you more sales in the short term that are detrimental long term. And you can tell I've watched the new Avatar movie recently. Holistically, like what's if it's bad for people, it's bad in the long term, right? So I'd rather have sales that are more sustainable. And ultimately, if it's better for people, if it's better for the planet, it probably is better for sales in the long term because I believe, I don't know about the listeners, but I believe society as a whole is becoming more conscious. Yes, it's more fractious and there's more disagreements.
It's weird. We're becoming more conscious, but we're becoming less empathetic. That's an interesting dichotomy.
Oh, okay, interesting. Well, I was going to use the example of the kind of ECG, that people are more making decisions, more likely to make decisions about, I'm going to use this business because they are carbon neutral, for example, or because they
right. But then again, how much of that's just greenwashing?
Well, maybe, but the point that I'm making though is that the buying decisions, whether it's been done by greenwashing or not, some of the buying decisions are now more likely, increasingly more likely to be predicated on the fact that the company appears to be, whether it is or not, environmentally conscious.
Yeah, I buy that. Yeah, and one could argue if it's greenwashing or not, is it still better than not? I don't know.
Right. So it's about selling, but selling in a sustainable way. How do you maximize sales, but in a sustainable way, in a healthy way?
But where does ethics come in? How do you sell in an ethical way as well? Which could probably lead us into the fail of the week.
Yeah, so the fail of the week is multiple councils across the UK for failing to take action against shops with illicit tobacco sales. Right, so there were in the last year, there's only been 30 illicit tobacco raids on dodgy shops. Sorry, that was in the past 3 years. So that's just 10 a year for 90% of all county councils in the UK. And so the point being that while there are strict rules about tobacco sales, but even if it wasn't about tobacco, this is about people misrepresenting and fake cigarettes, fake brands, taking advantage
so
of
here
brands.
We can get on the same page, right? We may have had some philosophical debate about price gouging or just taking the opportunities that are there, but we're definitely on the same page with this one, which is misrepresentation never works.
Correct. But and laws are only good, and this is a legal comment, but laws are only good if they're enforced.
Yeah.
Right. So Hampshire, which is a pretty darn large county over in the south of England, recorded only one seizure of illicit tobacco in 3 years. Right, 3 years,
so
one seizure.
Do you think they were just turning a blind eye then and just letting it happen? Is that?
Because I think fundamentally, and again, it's not about councils, it's about businesses. Businesses have only got so much capacity, so much resource, so they decide where to deploy it. Because if you're going to go, the council needs to do everything. Well, yeah, it does need to do everything, but what's more important?
Yeah, pick your battles, right?
Repairing the roads, illicit tobacco sales, or insert
or
the
sex
X.
trafficking, or cigarettes.
Correct,
right?
Or recycling, or all right. Like this money has to be spread, and sometimes if you spread it thin, there's no prioritization. So it's a really interesting thing, but and it will change in different contexts. So if you say, and it doesn't say this in the article, I don't believe, but if you say cost of living crisis, etc., consumers might be more inclined to buy
a knockoff
because it's cheaper. All right, and therefore the sellers are there going, the market wants this.
I guarantee you, so a lot of people could go, I'm doing a service because I'm giving people something that they want for a lot less, but it's illicit. Yeah.
Right. So the thing I'd be telling business owners to think about is, where do you need to put more resources? Right. So is there an opportunity in the market? But where do you put more resources? But then how do you decide when enough is enough? How do you do things which sales right now?
That's the $1 million question, right? How do you know when enough is enough? Yeah. Which, by the way, I will tell you right now.
I'm glad you picked up on that subtle cue.
We could literally go right into the hero of the week because of that.
So the hero of the week, this is just such a phenomenal story. So this is 7-year-old Rhea Holland. That's not Rhea, that's David George. But a 7-year-old from Gosport provided essential items and raised money for a homeless charity after noticing people who were living rough in a kind of a hometown.
But how she raised her money is the important. She sold her toys to raise money for homeless people. That's pretty epic. At a 7-year-old.
That's right. Yeah, unbelievable. And what I love about this is the sense of, conscientiousness, like her being aware. And going back to the earlier point about how if it's good for society, it's good for you in the future. I mean, what's that going to do for that young girls' self-confidence,
No kidding,
people's
right?
perception of her, and it'll open up opportunities.
I will tell you this. Honestly, I think those previous companies could take a page from this 7-year-old girl's ethical playbook, for sure.
Yes. In fact, I'm torn over about whether or not I go down this road.
Are you going to agree with me right now?
No. You probably know where I'm going. So, what this reminds me is the argument. So the inverse of this, of being like conscious and thinking about other people. Should we talk about Andrew Tate?
Oh gosh, yeah, he could have been the fail of the week, the news of the week, the jerk of the week.
Yeah,
right,
but what
idiot of the week.
I'm drawing a mental blank right now of the lady's name, the
Greta.
young woman.
Greta Thunberg.
Yeah, thank you, Greta. Of where he and her were having a fight, a debate on.
Well, to be clear, he picked it. He voluntarily tweeted it out.
And to be clear, I've only heard it anecdotally. I've not gone to Twitter and read the tweets, but effectively he was being, but my opinion, being a bit of a douche about talking about all the cars that he's got and
100%.
But then the thing that undid him was like he was making this arrogant comment and said, "I wouldn't even recycle these pizza boxes." Right, and the photo of the pizza box from a local pizzeria, which resulted in the authorities to be able to perceive his location, and then they were able to subsequently arrest him on sex trafficking charges, I believe is what it was.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it was in that kind of that space. I'm not sure it was sex trafficking. I think it might have been. But let's just make sure we're not doing anything illegal. We don't know for sure.
Yeah, we don't know what he was arrested for, but he was arrested.
It wasn't good.
And so my observation was that my opinion is that ego battle of like making the point, like which came across to me at least as egotistical. Look at me trying to defend myself legally now. So caused his downfall. Yeah. And then do you see Greta's comeback?
It was a burn of the year for sure. Yeah, no problem. Which one, by the way? Because she owned him several times.
Right. And the line that I particularly loved was after he got arrested. She just tweeted and said, "See, that's what happens when you don't recycle pizza boxes."
Yes, I loved it. Yeah,
so I love it. So yeah. What I love about this, about Rhea, I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, Rhea, is that she's made a difference for a great cause and get the PR out there. And by the way, Simon Inchley, who's previously been on this podcast, says that good charity is often good business.
Absolutely. By the way, we should actually throw some attention. We'll put her website, because I think she now has a website where she's raising funds. If she does it, we'll put it in the show notes, and let's all go over there and send her some money.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, excellent. All right, cool. Let's go to Book of the Week, my friend.
Well, Book of the Week, and I've deliberately chose a more controversial book for this Book of the Week.
But I like this because we're talking about, like, there's kind of a theme here this episode, which is sales and where's the ethical line.
Right. So the book of the week is by Mr. Jordan Belfort, The Wolf of Wall Street, and his book is actually his third book, I believe, which is his first. I don't want to say non-fiction because they're all non-fiction, but the first two were about his life, and this third one is actually a sales book, and it's called Way of the Wolf: Straight Line Selling. Master the art of persuasion, influence, and success. And actually, so I've read this book, but also I actually attended his straight line selling course. Probably it was before the Wolf of Wall Street movie came out.
Wow, interesting.
And so the book had come out, and I read it, and it was, again, I was in my late 20s at the time, so perhaps egotistically it appealed to me a little bit more as well. But in my head, I tried to differentiate and say, okay, he did a lot of unethical things, but actually I think that 90% of what he did was legitimate, maybe borderline immoral.
But the 10% was straight up illegal.
Of course.
Yeah.
Right? And obviously that put him in prison, and rightfully so, just to be explicit.
Yeah.
But if you strip out the illegal elements and then choose where to draw your line on the things that are unethical, the fact was he's an ethics sales trainer.
He and I clearly probably have different lines. See, I don't even know that I'd want to read this book just because I'm afraid I'd pull up unethical habits.
I would encourage you to be open-minded because I believe one of the largest parts of why this guy became immensely wealthy. Don't put it all in the bucket of, he was illegal and he was doing this. No. this guy was going to do phenomenally well. You know why? He was an incredible salesperson, but more importantly, he was able to take guys off the street, broke guys, uneducated guys, and train them to be able to sell financial products to the wealthiest 1% of Americans. And to that, you've got to say, you know what? The fact that he was able to do that consistently at scale, he had over 1,000 brokers, I believe, at the peak working for him, right? The fact that he was able to do that at scale tells you he was an exceptional sales trainer. And I'm sorry, I disagree with anybody who goes, oh, it was only because he was doing the illegal stuff. That's clearly not true. He again, to restate, he was clearly did illegal things that resulted in him rightfully going to prison.
Look, we've already said it's bad. That's off the table.
Right. And the fact is, he was not selling cocaine, right? He
was consuming quite a bit of it.
He was. But the point that's why the business survived for such a long time and made such an immense amount of money. He would have been successful. Maybe only half as successful if he'd been 100% straight.
Would it be interesting? I wonder if now, as he's matured and grown, if he would say, yeah, I actually would have been happier if I would have been half as successful. Because we go back to this again. Like, at some point in time, you have to draw a line. You have to know how much enough is enough.
Yeah, now I'm torn. Like, I want to argue the other side. If you watch videos of him, he'll say similar things to that, and I'm a little bit skeptical about whether or not I believe it.
Right, yeah.
Right?
A little bit disingenuous.
However, the point I would make for people here is Way of the Wolf is worth picking up. Stay open-minded. Like, don't put... Otherwise, you're at the extreme of like, oh, if somebody screws up in their life once, like, I don't know, they got a DUI or something like that, you now got everything they've done is bad. You know?
Yeah, but I think there's a little bit difference between doing something once that's bad, like a DUI, and repeatedly doing it and getting caught once.
What I was going to say, we're going to get into philosophical debate, right? It's kind of like, if somebody excels in one area of life, like, I don't know, if they're the best tennis player or sports player, and you're in that sport, but in their private life, I don't know, they physically abuse their spouse, that's wrong, that's deplorable. But does that not mean I can't study how they swing the tennis
There's
racket?
not some benefit in the thing that they're good at.
And that's probably the point that I would make for this book is... He's a masterful salesman and sales trainer. So take advantage of some of the things that he offers you. And you know what? Take out the bits that you like. And if you don't like some bits or it crosses the moral or ethical line for you, leave that on the shelf. But his stuff's really, really good.
Fair enough. All right. Well, then let's move into the quote of the week, which is another gentleman, which I think you and I probably have some difference of opinions on. I'm mixed on this guy, but I cannot take any of his brilliance away from him either.
Well, interestingly, it was this guy who I'm actually not a big fan of, but Chad Conger, one-time hero of the week on this podcast, used to work for this guy. In fact, he was headhunted from working for me before.
Frank stole him from you, didn't he?
Correct.
Which, by the way, and he stole him from me. Remember that?
No, I am not.
Yeah. You stole Chad Conger from me, 15 years ago? 10 years ago.
I took a demoralized... unhappy, underpaid employee, and
you gave him shelter.
Exactly. Some would call it abusive, Tova.
Mahesh, this one's for you. I try not to take the piss and go too far, but at this point in time, we've derailed now. So
Mahesh, we're completely off topic.
Yeah.
So, but it was Frank. We'll get to the quote in a second. Who actually put me on to Jordan. So.
Interesting.
So Frank Gunn is a infamous internet marketer, and he is hilarious. Albeit, I will say he's got a persona of being...
He's just so cocky. I just have a hard time with him.
Well, he's got a persona
but he can back it up, though.
He's got a persona of he doesn't work, but actually, I'll tell you, behind the scenes, and Chad will tell you this, like, this guy works really hard. But his persona is one of like, hey, I just did this today. But actually, he's approaches it very seriously. But anyway, the quote I quite like, which is... Selling stuff is easy. All you got to do is give away stuff that makes people happy. And then sell stuff that makes them even happier.
And I got to say, I do love that quote. It's especially in today's market where we have these freemium products and you've got to give a lot of stuff away to get people to buy into you. It makes a lot of sense. I love it.
We're doing this podcast, right? Ultimately, we're giving people a taste and they like it. And some people, if they want to go deeper, great. They come along to one of our programs.
Which, by the way, if you have enjoyed this podcast, make sure you subscribe so you get notified every time we send out a new podcast.
That's a socialist, and I'll say as a capitalist, hey, if you're suitable and if you've got $1 million in revenue and you're a B2B service-based business, come along and apply to join one of our mastermind programs.
Hell yes. Nothing wrong with that as well. All right, let's wrap it up, my friend.
All right, as always, if you want a better business, you need to become a better business owner. See you next time.
I hope you enjoyed that episode. 3 things you need to do now. Number 1, make sure you subscribe to this podcast so you do not miss an episode. Also, get on over to Amazon to get a copy of my latest book, Turnover is Vanity, Profit is Sanity, 9.5 Steps to Improving Your Profits and Cash Flow. Also, join our Facebook group, the Turnover is Vanity, Profit is Sanity community, to connect with other business owners.